Well, I've come out on a lovely day trip to Llanymynech, just in Wales, and I'm here to pick up the track actually for the loft layout. So it's really photogenic here today. You wouldn't believe that this is February, would you? So I'm just waiting for Derry, long-time friend of the channel, to come up and meet me. I will see what he's got. Welcome to Shrewsbury. Never ever been here before. There's some nice architecture. So got about 2 hours and then got to be back at the car. But we're heading to run some errands for Zoe, some retro computer games, and then picking up some of this track that Derry's been sourcing. So let's get on. I love old bookshops. I love the smell of the old books. Looking for books that I collect. Just here in Shrewsbury. We're here in Shrewsbury with, I keep mentioning Derry, but hiding there in the shadows. How are you doing?
I'm alright, you?
Yeah, not too bad. Just admiring this unseasonably warm February day and all these little nooks and crannies. I do like nooks and crannies in towns and cities. Oh, let's crack on. Let's go and pick up this track. Well, we've picked up a few bits and pieces, got some point work and some point motors, and got a bit of time to kill, and it's such a wonderful day. So Derry has brought me out to, where are we going?
Llanymynech Rocks.
Llanymynech Rocks. So we're going to take the opportunity whilst I'm here to go and have a look round. So let's crack on. I mean, what are we actually walking on? This looks like something like a railway line.
Yep. All the paths along here, well, most of the paths along here were built on the old tramways that ran all over the rocks. So
this would have been effectively how they brought the bits and pieces down from the quarry?
Yeah, this then links through, this then went down to the winding house further down, and then eventually down to the canal at Llanymynech Pool, which is where the current end of the Cambrian Railways is.
So what's all this stonework over here?
That's actually from just an adjoining series of things. I think that was a graveyard at one point.
Interesting.
That they then kind of built up that bit to avoid overrunning it.
You're talking about Faux-Nightingale rocks. What is it, like a hill or?
Llanymynech Rock is a 5 mile long by 3 mile wide hill. Which is dominated by this limestone outcrop. In fact, can we go up this way?
Yeah, can do.
Just for a little bit of a joke that we have.
A joke?
Well, it's what we show the tourists.
What we show the I mean, you can see here. There's definitely been some kind of industrial activity because this isn't.
Well, this is the limestone here is an exceptionally rare limestone, which, well, obviously does very well at promoting growth of all these trees. these have all sprung up literally, I think most of these were planted in the 1970s.
Right.
To re-secure all the line banks. And
Oh, right, to basically
debris.
just stop it all from slumping down the hill.
Yeah, which is now, they've grown really far too fast for it. And
and are now in danger of causing it all to fall down the hill.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I mean, this is lovely. I mean, you wouldn't believe that this is February.
No.
It's just unreal weather. I mean, whoever says global warming's not a thing, please explain the weather we're having.
It's just hot.
What do you mean it's just hot?
You see here this stream. It's quite a significant stream, isn't it?
Not really. Why? What is it?
Well, but it's a constant flow of water.
Right.
It stops there.
Oh, of course. Well, it's limestone, so it'll be. There'll be.
It filters out the rock. Yeah.
Well, it's not that there'll be caves and stuff that it filters through.
Yeah. Well, no.
So
limestone is naturally very porous and allows it to through.
So we've got water.
You've got
no water.
You've got a small pool which is making a stream about the same size as the pool itself.
Yeah, it's basically a spring.
Yeah. Well, we sell this as the magic pool because people that just don't quite get the spring related to the limestone idea look at it in a lot of confusion.
How stupid are some people? That is, I mean, it's just sheer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite sure of some of the other ones further around.
I just, from there, and it just goes up and up and up, and up and up and up and up. So where are we now then, Derry?
Well, we're in the main centre of the quarry. This particular bit here, we've cleared away all the dirt which has come from the 1970s tree growing to reveal the limestone back again, because the amount of foliage falling from the trees was forming a layer of dirt which was actually negative to the local environment.
Right.
Orchids, which rely heavily on having very lime-filled soil, weren't getting that, and you can just see that they're recovering and growing again now that they've got that facility.
So where are the orchids? Can we see any?
Can't see. Aren't they really growing? You can see this one here is an orchid, but again, it's not. It's just the end of winter. They're only just starting.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to forget on this day, which actually it feels warm. And it might look warm, but it actually feels warm as well. It's still just the end of February.
So here we come to the hardest, some of the hardest walls in Britain actually to climb.
So
as you can see, that is sheer.
Yeah.
And we've had two climbers who've just come down off that one.
So basically, what you say, this is, if you're a hardcore rock climber, this is where you come.
Yeah. Well, it's the rocks in general have rock walls that cover pretty much every single division and possibility of rock climbing. And in the centre of the quarry, further round and in, you've got rock walls ranging from simple bouldering all the way up to redline. And here you've got effectively what is a sheer wall there.
Yeah, I mean, the people for scale, look how huge this is. This is, I mean, it's just almost incongruous. And if you built your rock walls on a model railway like this, just sort of sheer straight down and then flat ground at the bottom, lightly grassed, people would say that it didn't look right. Yeah, this is like an embankment. You can see there at the bottom of the cliffs, huge cliffs. And there's an embankment here, and then it goes back down over there. I just thought I'd point this out. On this bit of embankment, do you see the ghost outlines of the tramway sleepers? Well, yes. Derry has just spoilt the surprise that there's a sleeper still in situ, but no, these ghost outlines, because the wood's rotted away, and you can see as we walk along, there are a few places, like there's a little bit of the wooden sleeper left. In fact, is that got holes in? I'm not sure. But you can see, I mean, this is the track there.
Oh. Is that? It is. You've got one of the old track pins as well.
It says that's actually a track pin.
Yeah, still buried in the sleeper, even though the sleeper's gone.
So when would this track have been taken up?
Well, it would have been taken up in 1914. that's when the quarry closed. That's when the section of the quarry closed. And all the steel was repurposed for the war effort.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you'd just take it away; it'd be scrap and have a value.
No, like the Llanymynech Lime Works at the bottom. The beginning of World War One was a significant point where men were being
Although
drawn.
a lot of the track work that you showed us last time was just buried. It wasn't taken up for scrap.
That was because it was sort of inaccessible, and the company that owned the lime works believed that they'd reopen. Of course, the Bessemer process comes in 1915 and completely ruins the requirement for lime.
It's interesting. Once you see the sleeper indentations, they are actually ever so visible. And you think, so if the line was taken up in 1914, the fact that those sleeper indentations are still visible over 100 years later is quite amazing, because this is a well-walked path. It's not like it's just been left to its own devices. But I'm still just so taken there. We can see a couple of people for a sense of scale. This is just amazing. So what are these then, Derry? Tell us.
These and other bits of wagon that you will find around the site are statues done by a local artist to represent and model the sorts of men that worked and were on the site, so that you people who visit the site have a 3D representation of the sort of activities that went on here.
They're actually cut from some pretty beefy steel sheet. So yeah, that is quite impressive. And unpainted as well. Everybody thinks, oh, steel just rusts to nothing. But if it's thick enough, it doesn't.
Well, these have been here, what are they, about 14 years now? 14 years. They put them when we moved in. Very nice. And the rust is actually to show how the age and the wear and tear occurs on these things.
Yeah, I know, but it's doing pretty well. I mean,
oh, it is, yeah.
That's why ships do so well, because they're made of such thick steel.
Yeah. On this side, Jenny,
we
have what looks like another slag heap. That isn't. That is the edge of the hill. The original hill.
So that's the actual real hill
and continued up,
which would have gone up to the top there. So they've sort of dug behind it. So would that just been like a pocket of like soil or something else that wasn't of interest to them?
No, they was just the way that they were quarrying. You had two quarries coming towards each other,
right? And
they just cut that bit out. But it does go to show just how much was removed.
Yes, very much so. I'm looking at it now. You can still almost see the very faint outlines of sleepers, but it's almost gone here.
Here we have a wagon. This one is actually a Hudson V-skip. That wasn't originally part of this quarry. That was actually from Whiteacre Quarry, the next one along the hill. So
this has been brought here and put in as some kind of modern art.
Well, again, to work with the two rockmen over there.
And you can see it's much thinner metal and hasn't fared quite so well.
But
it's just the skip body, there's nothing else underneath.
It had spent its entire lifetime in roughly the same conditions in Whiteacre Quarry from, again, the same time period. So they've survived quite well.
And how had they survived at that quarry? I mean, why hadn't they been hauled away for scrap when the quarry closed?
Whiteacre wasn't quite the same type of quarry. While it did do limestone, it was also a resourcing depot for explosives and granite.
Right,
which meant that it continued doing roadstone and explosives for the different quarries that also survived in the area. Knapmara, for example, survived into the 1980s, so Whiteacre, as its resourcing depot, continued as well. They just didn't use the V-skips anymore, so left them on the side. This is the top of the English incline. We got to the bottom of it, where the track is.
Ah, so that last video where there was that buried track, and it was really quite interesting. This is what's at the top of that incline.
Its top counterpart. This is the winding hut, where the steel cables which ran from the top to the bottom.
So this would have pulled the
wagons up as other wagons went down.
And would it have been a counterbalance whereby the full wagons would have pulled up the empty ones?
Yep.
Right.
That's how it worked. It was actually special in terms of its design and system, as it had derailleurs halfway down the line.
So in case of breakaways.
Which was actually unique in terms of quarry incline lines at the time.
So, given that we found that the track was still in place at the bottom of this incline, how much coming up was left in place? Because I don't see any track up here.
Most of it was left in place, but had since been buried. In fact, it got to the point where there was even a wagon that had derailed, that was buried all the way up to the top, underneath it all. And they've been forced to, as part of the nature reserve, leave all that under there. Up at the top surface here, you can still just make out where there had been track running underneath this.
Yeah, I can just sort of see some of the indentations. I mean, does this? No, it doesn't.
This was rebuilt in, I think it was 2009, as part of a national lottery grant, just to make sure that there was at least an example of it.
So, how much was left here? Was it just B?
Just the stone.
Right. So none of this
here was the stone, and some bits of the brake bands, which had been left. The drum itself had rotted away, and then fallen into disrepair.
And here I can see more sleepers.
Yep.
So there we have the sleepers on the incline.
Yep.
They're actually fairly complete.
If you look here, you'll find a drainage ditch of sorts that connected between the brake drum and the brake man, who had to look down and watch how fast the wagons were going.
Okay.
So the wire ran underneath here.
Right.
At the top of the hill here, you'll find two sections of rail.
Oh, so these aren't...
These aren't original. These were bought from the Welsh Landfair Light Railway. They date from the same period, but are in far better condition.
Right. So, how much of the track was actually on the incline? Was it removed when they've restored it and put the path in, or was it not there in the first place?
In archaeological digs, there were, in some sections, it wasn't here at the top. Some sections about halfway down, it was, but it was buried under a fly tip.
Right.
So in digging out the fly tip, they also carefully removed the rail, put them into the museum in the a couple of different museums, and then they put new dirt over it, which means that you can find some bits of interest. However, if you are looking for bits of railway stuff, the Welsh incline, which is further on around the quarry, is all still intact. They removed the rails, but it still has its stone sleepers, wooden sleepers, and other bits of railway architecture.
Excellent.
So, following up this path this way, this led to what was, at the time, the first lime kiln that was properly installed in the quarry for industrial reasons. There are one or two further round which were originally for farmers to get lime and slaked lime for their fields. This one was the predecessor to the ones that you find in the lime works, and was placed at the top of the incline because it was just convenient. It was close to the rock. Now, it led to the problem that they had to move the coal up and slaked lime down, which doesn't work on the gravity system.
Right, yes.
Which is why they built the lime works at the bottom.
Because, of course, the coal weighs more than the slaked lime.
Yes. So this comes to the top of this, so you'll be able to look down and into the lime kiln, which we couldn't do at the other one at the bottom.
Right, so I'm curious just how much is left of it.
The entire thing is complete. It is just so large that they don't really... There's nothing worthwhile in destroying them. There's no steel there, it's just more and more rock.
Yeah, and I suppose up here it's not even the land that's of value.
No, well, it's just more rock.
Yes.
So it's a bit overgrown now, and they've had to cover it over with an iron grating to stop people falling in.
Oh, right, I see. So there's no other access into this?
There is from the bottom. There isn't.
I'm just thinking if I drop my phone, we can go.
Oh, well.
Oh, my word.
It's quite a large... Well, actually, no, this is actually one of the smaller ones.
I can't even see the bottom.
You can just...
I don't think it's going to show up on this video, but that is a long way down, a very long way down. In fact, I do suffer from vertigo, so let's go to here so we can look at the pretty pictures. In the late 1700s, wow. Interesting, because And you wouldn't have liked to have been the person working at the bottom. That must have been probably one of the worst jobs in history.
Working at the top or the bottom was fatal. If you slipped and fell, you fell into slaked lime burning at over 1,000 degrees. And at the bottom, the very air reacted with your sweat and burnt your skin off.
Yeah, it would cause, like, it would be
Serious.
it would caustic chemical burns.
And the really strange thing was, in the local area, there was a tradition of always keeping yourself tidy. So the rockmen only had to clean their clothes of bits of dirt, and they'd come back in the next day with fresh, clean shirts. These guys would come here, they'd be bleeding from the face, they'd have skin peeling off, they'd be bleeding, and they'd still come in the next day in a fresh, clean shirt.
Wow. I mean, did they understand that it was killing them?
Yeah, they knew it was, and they were paid extra to do this work.
Wow.
Originally, when it was done in the very earliest times by farmers, they would just kind of leave it to its own devices and then wait for it to cool and then rake it out afterwards.
Yeah.
When it was manned by 2 or 3 men, they worked that they could do more by just putting more on top, and it would weigh it down and push it through, which is a lot more labour intensive and was what really caused injuries. It was one of the most dangerous jobs on the quarries, even more so than the powder monkeys who had to climb up and down those rock faces you saw earlier to drill holes to do explosions.
Yeah. That's a cave or a tunnel or what? What are we looking at there?
That is a tunnel dug through the rock. Because of the way that the different sections of the quarry were designed, there was this long central section which had to be gone all the way around to get into the middle of the quarry.
Right.
So instead, they decided to blast a tunnel through, which is a lot harder when you're trying to dig through a cliff than in other situations. It's completely unsupported on the inside. They didn't bother with all that.
Well, presumably the rock itself makes it fairly strong.
Actually, inside there, it's blocked off because it has roughly 1 or 2 rockfalls a year.
Oh, so what you're saying is the tunnel no longer goes all the way through?
No, it does go all the way through. It is so tall, it doesn't matter. It's more to stop people from camping or staying in there.
Yeah, I can see
I don't know whether it's true or not, but there is a story that there was a homeless guy camping in there, and he got crushed by a falling 5-ton
I can imagine.
rock.
I don't know. I can't tell whether it's just my eyes failing me or whether there's I can certainly feel like a cold breeze coming out.
It's coming straight through from the main quarry.
And it's almost like there's a mist in the air.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but there is a mist in the air. Yeah.
So there would have been the tramway would have just gone straight through. Presumably a tunnel that wide, it would have been double track.
They just figured, well, while we've got access, we may as well just kind of dig to the sides and get the stone easier.
Well, maybe. Just gone a bit further round in the quarry, and you remember the last winding house, where it had been sort of rebuilt a little bit, kind of. Well, this is the top of they call it the Welsh incline, and some interesting stones on the floor, and I'm sure that Derry here can tell us the significance of. There's a stone there, there's another one there with a groove in.
They go all the way down. Yep, all these stones are, and the grooving and everything, are from the Welsh incline's ropes.
So it's the ropes would have just scrubbed on
the ropes of the Welsh incline predated the English incline by several years, and saw a lot more use until very late on.
Right.
And yeah, the wire ropes that they used and the loads that they moved them at just wore down these grooves. Sometimes several inches deep there.
Yeah, I can see actually.
That's about 2-3 inches deep, and that's not even at the bottom of it.
I can see further up here. You can see almost like a lighter groove. There's a little bit there just underneath the earth, and then there's some more grooves there, and they would have then gone up in the air, up and onto the drum that would have been there.
But you can see, Jenny, you've got the holes where they started drilling to punch through to use the stone as sleepers as well.
Interesting.
And yeah, these.
So there wouldn't have been wooden sleepers.
No, these are stone. They used 3-foot long T-section rail.
That would have been in use until right to the very end then?
Well, it was in use until the English incline ended, until the English incline was properly introduced.
Right.
In which case, then, it was considered outdated with newer track used elsewhere.
Mm.
Here we have the tunnel. It links into this area in the quarry at the bottom here.
Right.
There's another winding house.
So would this have gone down and out of the tunnel?
Out of the tunnel, yeah.
So that's to wind it through from the tunnel?
Yeah.
Right. So, and what's this showing up here?
That's actually a T-shaped tunnel. It's kind of large in the pictures, actually. It's a lot smaller than it looks. But it's where they would store explosives on site.
Right.
Would have a long Y-shaped tunnel to keep the explosives far apart. That was intentionally put in the dampest sections of rock so that there wouldn't be a chance for it to light if anything did happen.
Yeah.
They would then be taken out, and there's a second one over here where the explosives would be dried before being taken to where they were wanted.
So what were they using then? Would it been? I presume it would have started out as black powder and then become like gelignite, dynamite, cordite.
Yep, slowly worked the way through that one. I think cordite wasn't used industrially until after World War One, so the quarry would have been closed just before then.
Yeah.
It may have used some of the faces further around the rock face, but as we see here, we have that was actually recovered from a local house.
Right. Presumably, once the explosives were used, they were just very helpful wooden crates that people would repurpose. So this fence here, it's pretty innocuous. There's nothing really special about it. And it goes all the way down here. But, oh, what's this? Welcome to Shropshire. Because this is Powys, which is in Wales. And that is Shropshire, which is England. So this is what a frictionless border looks like. So here we are, Diolch yn fawr. Croeso I Cymru. Nefodd wen, iach a fi. And then we come through here and it's like, I can't do a Shropshire accent. It's like, hello, welcome to England. Come on, pie, peas, flat calf, whippets. It's grand. Oh, and then we come through here and it's, oh, hello. Would you like a slice of Barrabrith and some Welsh cakes? Apologies for the really, really bad accents. So we're up here fairly near the top. And look at that view across the borders between England and Wales. And if I turn around, you can see the quarry somewhere behind. And low winter sunshine, so it's really in my eyes quite a bit. There is more of the quarry, but I'll be honest with you, we're going to start losing the light. It's only about 5 o'clock, but the sun's already really low. But that is just an amazing vista. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to tickle that like button and also subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so, and you'll be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. But until next time, you take really good care of yourself, and I hope you've enjoyed this rather different journey that we've done today. Makes a change from being up in the loft, topping up on the tan. So you take care of yourself, and I'll see you here next time. Bye for now. Today's video has been brought to you in part thanks to the generous donation of my fans on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to Anthony Kidson, Mark Anthony, Michael Churchwood, Mark McShane, Bob Threeton, Alec Ralph, Anthony Hunt, and William Wade. If you'd like to help support the show, head on over to patreon.com/Jennifer Kirk. Thank you. Today's video has been brought to you by my books, Bringing Home the Stars, Twinkle Little Star, and also you can get the complete comic collections of All Over the House, Books 1, Books 2, and also the wacky zany Life of Knob T. Mouse. Thanks, and catch you later.